Welcome back to Brick Gren Maju. I'm back here today with another deck profile. Today, I'm going to show off my Myutant deck profile that I ended up getting third place with. Technically second because my tiebreakers were better, but I did not lose in the final. So technically overall, I would have gone second just based off of tiebreakers since I only lost to the person who got first, and all my opponents did either like 2-2 or 3-1 today. So all of them did really well. So I did not get a single bad matchup. All of the people I played against were playing competitive to rogue, relatively competitive decks. And I will do like my matchups at the end of the video as well as leaving them in the description. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, subscribing will mean a lot. And the goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of next year. So please help me out with that goal. It means a lot. And thank you to all the viewers who have stuck by and been enjoying the content. So this is a deck profile once again that I did really well with. Only one loss overall, and that was to the person who got first place. Every other win, I believe, was 2-0. Just easy 2-0s the rest of the day. So let's begin. First off, 3 copies of ST46. And 3 copies of M05. This one searches spells and traps, and this one searches monsters. And both of these work out really well in tandem. Most of the time, people would just kind of let them go through, and kind of thought that the bigger play would be like hitting the special summon or something like that. But if you let these go through, then like the search effects or not negating them on summon, it just gives me like way too many resources to work with in my opinion, and it just allows me to snowball into more resources later on and just be able to go further with the deck. Next I have 2 copies of Beast. Beast was the MVP today. This card was the one that I made the most often and was really good. The second most often made was Arsenal. Arsenal was also really good today. Didn't really use his effect that much, but he was really good beat stick versus Beast where I used his effect pretty much every single game. And then finally Mist. I did not play against any real stun decks today, unfortunately, so because I didn't really play against any stun, this card pretty much never really came up and was never really utilized. Next is the one secret tech of the format, which is Keystone. Keystone is busted. I could not get over how good this card was. Every single time you resolve this card, you just are guaranteed another free extender, a free negate, a free interaction, any of that. It's just a free card. It's literally free. Like, I think you should definitely go out there and pick up copies if you do not already have some in your bulk. This card was just super good and came in clutch like every single game that came up. Next, I played 3 Ash and 3 D-Shifters as the hand traps. I think these are the best options for monster hand traps. You can't really play Gamma in this deck just because it's such a brick, and this deck already has bricking issues. So throwing in one more brick, I don't know, it's okay, but I feel like these are just better hand traps, and Dimension Shifter is just a really powerful hand trap. Most people who I played against would just stop their turn at that point or make a worse board than they normally would, and it just allowed me to win a lot more. It was like a win more in some situations, and in other situations it was a way for me to easily win the duel from the get-go. Next, for the spells, I play 3 Extravagance. Extravagance is really good. You only ever want to resolve this card once, maybe twice if you're feeling lucky, but you never resolve the 3rd copy. The reason you play 3 though is because you want to see as much as possible. This deck has a hard time with resource management sometimes, and so by getting more resources ready to go, it just allows you to go further with the deck overall, and is really, really good in the deck. Next is 3 copies of Evolution Lab. This card is also really good. The reason being is that it basically allows you to special summon back one of your guys from the banish or from your hand, like one of the small boys, which is really nice, first off. And then the second effect is the gaining of 100 attack for every banished mutant. So all your mutants gain 100 attack for each one that's banished currently. And then finally, the final effect is that when this, like, you can place one of your level 8 guys, or actually not level 8, but any of your mutant monsters from your hand on the bottom of your deck to draw one, so it just lets you get rid of your issues. Mainly the big boys who are just bricks in the deck, so it allows you to deal better with bricks, which is really nice. Outside of that, just a really overall decent card. You want to play 3. You want to see as much as possible. And then finally, kind of a tech in a way, which is 2 Mystic Mines and Terraforming. Now I know that not everyone likes Mystic Mine, and I know that some people think that, oh, it's just a degen card. But in this deck, honestly, it didn't really come up that much today, which was kind of surprising. I thought it would. But most of the time, this deck just is overwhelming for a lot of players, it felt like. So Mystic Mine didn't come up as much as I thought it would, but it was still pretty decent. And it's a good card just in case. It's just good. And it allows you, if you brick, to just wait until you get enough resources and then go for game, or at least build up a board enough so that your opponent can't really deal with it at that point. And then you could just activate, for example, a evolution lab over it once you get to that point. So yeah, really decent card. Just didn't really come up as much as I thought it would. And then for the final two spells, oh, and also I'm playing Terraforming. If you didn't see, Terraforming is really good. Final two spells will be Emergency Teleport, which just is generically good in this deck because all your small boys are psychics. So it's really nice every time you resolve it. And then Mutant Fusion, which came up a couple times. It just depends on the situation. It's really a situational card in my opinion. But it's a good one of. Allows you to banish from your hand or field. And then if your opponent activates that effect during the turn that you activate this card, you can also use your deck and graveyard for one material each. So it's not too bad. Then for the traps, I play triple Infinite Impermanence. Impermanent came up quite a bit. Really decent card. Really good overall. Then 3 copies of Mutant Cry. You want to get this card as fast as possible, see it as early as possible. And it's not really like, it's good to search out mid game, but early game this card you never search for, so you have to kind of draw into it. Then 3 Expansion. Expansion's also really good. This card came in clutch so often. Sometimes you would just brick with this deck and you see Expansion plus a bunch of bricks or a bunch of hand traps, and then you're just able to play. You're able to play, come back into the duel, and win within the next few turns, which is really cool. Expansion's really good, just another name, and it does it on your opponent's turn, which is really good. So you can, if you use it correctly, you can bypass Gammas, you can bypass Veilers, you can bypass a lot of the cards that your opponent might have. Then for the final traps, I play 2 copies of Punishment and 1 copy of Macrocosmos. So here's the thing. Punishment, really good to see, really good to play, really nice overall. And then 1 copy of Macro. Macro is also really nice, really good to see overall. Almost no decks can deal with it. Any deck that I play this card against, they would have to find really like ways to out it to be able to play, and that gives me enough time to usually win. And then for the extra deck, I played 3 copies of Synthesis. I think this card's pretty busted. Pops 1 on summon, pops any card on the field on summon. Then also on top of that, you can change it, basically declare monster, spell, or trap, and that card is, then Synthesis is unaffected by that type of card for the rest of the turn, which is also really nice. It gets around a lot of cards. Then 3 copies of Ultimus. Ultimus doesn't really come up a lot unless you open like a really weird hand going first or second. Like you have to see like some really weird cards ratios to be able to make him early, and it's just not a reliable card to make him ever early game. Like, sure, a couple of times I was able to make him early enough and then just have him chill, but most of the time he's mid to late game, and usually by the time you made him, you're looking to pretty much smack your opponent for game, and then just guarantee that your opponent won't have anything to stop that with. So, Ultimus is really good. Also, if he's destroyed, you get 3 of your resources back from your banish, either monster, spell, or trap. And you can choose any number of them or all 3, which is really nice. So like, let's say you just have a monster and spell in your banish, easy. You just grab, and it also has to be mutant, monster, spell, or trap. But you grab whichever ones you need, easy. Then 3 copies of Nittis. Nittis is also really nice, good pops. Pops are fun. It's good to pop your opponent's cards. Get rid of their cards off of punishment, so send this. Off of punishment, get additional pops. So if they have a problem card that you can't deal with, Nissus can help get around that. And then finally, 1 Chimera Phlesia. This card I felt kind of iffy on. Like, you never make links in this deck, so I removed one of the links from this deck to throw in Chimera Phlesia. And it's good if you're going against Dogma, and it's good if you see punishment early on and you're able to use punishment and your opponent doesn't really have a lot of resources as an interruption. But really the point that you would run this guy for is to be able to search for a polymerization or fusion spell during the next turn. So that's cool, and it adds resources, so like that's cool. But overall was kind of meh, but I'll leave it in for now. just see what happens with further testing. Then for the XYZs, I play 1 Dingirsu and 1 copy of number 38. Dingirsu is a good send, came up a couple of times, and number 38 came up at least once today, and that was just busted. It kind of forced my opponent's outs to it, and it was able for me to just keep on playing during the next turn. Then 1 copy of True King of all calamities, because of course you want to not have your opponent play Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's kind of the idea. You never make him first turn. At best, it's second or third turn that you're making him. But once you make him, especially if your opponent's starting to get low on resources, it's really nice. It's really good to see. And the next card is kind of like that, which is the Phantom Fortress dude. And this card, pretty good. Banish from anywhere. Banish from anywhere. Doesn't target. Does not target. Really nice to see. Really good card to make, because you just banish something. And this deck is all about banishing, so it just helps out. And then finally, 1 copy of Phoenix. I'll probably cut this card and throw in a Totally Awesome, to be honest, because Toad will be another target for the trap known as Punishment, and you can get your water guys from grave back to your hand. But I tried out Phoenix today, and I made it exactly 0 times, because you're never going to make Phoenix in this deck. Why? Because you're never going to Link Summon. And that's kind of the thing. You don't Link Summon unless you're playing a mixed build. Next, for extra deck, or not extra deck, side deck. Side deck, I played 1 copy of Pankratops, just generically good in like every deck. 2 copies of Gamma-Seal. Gamma-Seal is also pretty good. Game up where I sided in, just never actually drew him. So, yeah, but the idea behind these cards is if the deck has a hard time dealing with the negates going second, so it's just as outs to negates. Then 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll, it's okay. It's good against very specific matchups, but, you know, well, not specific, but like meta matchups, it's really good against. And I sided in, never saw it. So I'm pretty good at seeing my side deck, obviously. Then I had 3 Cosmics. I sided this card in quite a bit. Never saw it. Yeah, I had a really hard time seeing my side deck today. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Sided in. Never saw it. Yeah, there's kind of a running theme here. I slide in a lot of cards, like with this deck, hoping to see them, and then I never see them. So, yeah, but it's still good. Then 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Slide it in. Never saw it, but it's okay. Just oust your opponent's back row, and this deck can have a hard time with back row in some cases, so it's good. 1 more copy of Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine just in case, because, hey, you never know what you're going to play against. So having the 3rd copy as an option is pretty good. And then finally, 3 Evenly Matched. And this is pretty much the only card out of my entire side deck that I saw consistently. Like, I kept saying Evenly Match. Couldn't see the rest of the side deck whenever I sided stuff in, but I could always see Evenly Match. So, yeah, but it came in clutch. It came in clutch. Now I'm going to run down through my matchups real fast. So during my round 1, I went up against Eldlich Dogma. Eldlich Dogma was interesting. Unfortunately, I beat them 2-0 because game 1 I saw macro, they couldn't play, and they had to tribute summon Golden Lord to out it, and at that point I had too many resources, and thus I ended up winning. And then game 2, they set up a board. They did their board, but they didn't have any negates. So I just hit them with Evenly Matched, and Evenly Matched basically won me the duel because from there they had like no resources left, and the best they could do was make Fleur de Lis, and I just beat over Fleur de Lis eventually. So that was pretty nice. My round 2 was against... Oh no, I'm going to forget the deck now. Oh no, round 2 was against Gren Maju, or like a Gren Maju variant, and Gren Maju is still actually a pretty good deck, but it's like, basically with Necroface and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it was a bad matchup for them. Like, the rest of the day, they did pretty well because a lot of meta decks have a hard time with Gren Maju, and they kind of run the same idea with me with, like, macros and dimensional fissures. But, unfortunately, during our game, all their cards gave me resources, and all my cards that banished gave them resources. So I set out all my banished cards, threw in a bunch of stuff to deal with their cards, and yeah, game 1 was pretty quick. In all respect, they ended up decking out because they necrofaced themselves too much. It was sad. And then game 2, they got to 11,000 life points, but through soul absorption stuff, shenanigans, but then they didn't really see anything else that really was like broken enough to beat me, so I'm just playing the beatdown game and eventually killed them. And then My round 3 was my only loss, which was to PK, Phantom Knights. Like a PK Fire Phantom Knight combo thing. You probably seen it on YouTube if you've been looking at the deck profiles for that. But it's basically like the one where the combos and ends on a whole bunch of negates. I had a hard time. I bricked, but I saw a dimensional. I saw my shifter both games, but it just wasn't enough because I bricked on big boys or bricked on cards that didn't interact. So yeah, I ended up losing that one. Not a big deal though, because I came back in the final round and I ended up playing against Dinosaurs. And Dinosaurs have a hard time with macro, D-shift, or anything like that. They just can't play through it. It was really bad for them because I just controlled the entire game. And both times it was really quick. So all my wins were 2-0s, just quick, easy 2-0s. My only loss was at 0-2, but I still managed to do pretty well overall. And with tiebreakers, since all my opponents who I beat did really well in the tournament, I ended up... I got third, but, you know, I should have gone second. I should have gone second, so I'm going to say that I got second in my own opinion. So, yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider doing so. It would mean a lot to me. Yeah, just keep on watching my videos. Thank you guys all for your support, and it means a lot. So, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.